if he wants to leave but doesn't? You can feel it before he says it. The scary part is, he may stay right there while emotionally walking out. He still answers, still shows up, still acts normal, but something inside the relationship has already gone cold. In this video, you'll see the 5 things men often do when they want out but feel stuck. And if this is you or someone you love, pay attention to the pattern. First, he goes emotionally quiet. Not silent, not gone, just harder to reach. He talks about work, bills, errands, random stuff, but he stops talking about what he feels. That shift matters more than most people think, because men who still want to stay keep trying to connect. Men who are mentally leaving start protecting themselves. They give less truth because truth creates closeness, and closeness makes leaving feel harder. But here's the truth. This usually doesn't start with one big talk. It starts with little missing pieces, shorter replies, less eye contact, fewer real check-ins. You ask, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm just tired." Maybe he is tired, but tired people still let you in. Closed-off people make you feel alone beside them. That's the emotional clue. You're not fighting for attention. You're fighting for access. Example, you're sitting on the couch together. The TV is on. His phone is in his hand. You're inches away, but the room feels miles wide. That's not distance in space. That's distance in heart. Then he starts getting irritated by little things. Things he used to laugh off now bother him fast. The way you ask a question, the way you text, the tone you use. Suddenly, everything feels like too much. Pay attention to this. Sometimes irritation is easier than honesty. It's easier to snap than to say, "I'm unhappy." It's easier to blame the moment than face the relationship. So he picks small fights, not because the issue is huge, but because the pressure inside him is huge. And it has to come out somewhere. This is where it gets interesting. The anger often isn't really about you. It's about guilt, confusion, and feeling trapped. He doesn't fully want to stay, but he also doesn't know how to leave cleanly. So his nervous system stays on edge, and you feel that edge in every conversation. Example, you ask, "What time will you be home?" A normal question becomes, "Why are you always checking on me?" The words are small, but the reaction is way too big. That's often a man fighting his own truth and losing patience with everyone around him. Then the future starts disappearing from his language. He still talks about next week, but next year? That gets blurry fast. He stops bringing up trips, plans, goals, and dreams. Or he answers with vague words like, "We'll see." That phrase sounds small, but emotionally it's a giant warning. Because people invest language where they still see life. If he can't picture the future, he stops speaking it. But here's the truth. When a man is torn, he doesn't always disappear overnight. Sometimes he stays physically while deleting the future mentally. He lives day to day because looking ahead feels dishonest. And you can feel that dishonesty, even if you can't prove it. That's why this hurts so much. You're not just losing romance. You're losing the shared story you thought you had. Example, you say, "Should we book that trip for summer?" And he says, Let's not plan too far ahead. Then he changes the subject. In one sentence, your body feels the truth. He's not making room for a future. He's making room for an exit, even if he hasn't admitted it yet. And that silence starts saying everything. Then he gives less effort, but just enough to keep the peace. This one confuses people the most, because he isn't fully gone. He's just doing the minimum to avoid the explosion. He still texts back sometimes. He still shows up sometimes. He still says, "I love you," sometimes. But it feels copied, flat, automatic. Pay attention to this. Consistency without warmth is not security. Routine is not the same as desire. A man can keep the relationship functioning while emotionally stopping his investment. That's why you start feeling crazy. Nothing is fully broken, but nothing feels fully alive either. And that in-between space is exhausting. Example, you tell him you're hurt. He says the right words. "I'm sorry, I get it, I'll do better." But nothing really changes after that. No deeper talk, no new effort, no repair. Just enough comfort to stop the moment. Not enough care to heal the pattern. That's not rebuilding. That's emotional stalling. Then the relationship starts feeling like logistics. Who's cooking? Who's driving? What's due? What's next? The emotional part gets replaced by management. You become co-workers in your own love story. This is where it gets interesting. When a man wants to leave but can't, he often turns intimacy into routine. Because routine is safer than closeness. Closeness asks for honesty, and honesty might force a decision. So he hides inside tasks and structure. He talks about what has to be done. He avoids what has to be felt. That's why even good days feel strangely empty. You may laugh together. You may eat dinner together. You may sleep in the same bed. But the relationship feels like it's running on habit. Example, you ask, "Do you even miss me anymore?" And he answers with, "I've just been busy." Busy is real, but busy doesn't explain emotional absence forever. When the heart is present, it finds a way to show up. When the heart is leaving, it hides behind responsibility. And you feel loved less, even while living together. Here's what makes all of this so painful. A man who wants to leave but can't often sends mixed signals. And mixed signals create false hope. One good night can make you ignore 10 cold ones. One kind message can make you explain away a month of distance. But here's the truth. Confusion is often the message. If you constantly have to decode the relationship is already speaking. Not always with words, but with energy, effort, and absence. And if you're the man doing this, be honest before your silence becomes damage. Staying out of guilt is not kindness. It only stretches the pain. And if you're the one receiving this, stop begging for clarity from actions that are already clear. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Pay attention to effort, not excuses. Pay attention to how your body feels around the truth. Love should not make you feel lonely every day. Love should not make you question reality every night. Sometimes the hardest part is not being left. It's feeling someone leave in slow motion. And deep down, you already know when that's happening. If this hit close to home, you're not weak, and you're not imagining it. Stay aware, stay honest, and don't ignore what keeps repeating. If you want more truth like this, stay with me.